The movie Chocolate revolves around an autistic girl with powerful martial arts skills who looks to settle her ailing mother's debts by seeking out the ruthless gangs that owe her family money. Before answering how she alone overpowers the cruelest mobs, I suggest restraining your lungs full of air, because this video is full of spoilers. Pre-credits portray a gang war between Masashi and Zen's boyfriend, Number 8. As Masashi is held hostage by Number 8's woman, Priscilla, and Zen by Masashi's man, we see Masashi constantly seeing her. Number 8 says it is his territory. Masashi, still watching Zen, tells them that it's his fault to sneak in on their turf. His man gets angry, and while he is scolding his gang, he mistakenly hits Zen. Zen snatches his gun and knocks him down on the table. This scene depicts how skilled she is. Masashi then stands up and declares that his gang has mistakenly chosen this place, it's Number 8's area. He further adds that he will not interfere again. After that, Masashi one day approaches her, and this time we finally get to see them falling for each other. The scene constantly changes to Zen and Number 8 going after those in debt to them. Get a spoiler alert, don't forget these men because they also play an integral role in the upcoming main plot. Masashi and Zen finally get along, and while they enjoy each other's company, Number 8 finally knows that they are in a relationship. So one day, while Number 8 and Zen are driving, he stops by Masashi and kills his men. He tries shooting him too, but Zen stops him at the very last second. Seeing Zen betraying him, Number 8 warns her of the following consequences. He also adds that they should never meet each other again, and if they do, he will come after them. The next day, Zen advises Masashi to go back to Japan, and they should never meet again. After pre-credits have rolled, we see Zen moving into a new house. She gives birth to a baby girl named Zen. At this point in the film, Zen becomes the main leading character of the story. Later, Zen is diagnosed with problems with her brain development. The doctor suggests Zen take much care of her, which she does obviously. However, she is broken as we expect. So she writes a letter to Masashi sharing her burden, and letting him know about Zen and her condition. Conversely, Priscilla tells him about Zen contacting Masashi, and as she is forbidden to do so, Number 8 goes to her house. Priscilla confines Zen while Number 8 sits beside Zen, terrorizing her shortly before cutting her hair. He then comes to Zen and cuts her toe, saying that she will remember his warning this way. This incident forces her to move again, and this time she moves into a house shared by some Thai kickboxing school. We think Zen makes the best decision because as Zen grows up, she starts observing the kids fighting and training until one day she decides to get trained too. She begins kicking a wooden pillar, and while her mother is taking care of her wounds at night, she thinks of an idea to cover the pillar with apparel. Zen starts working in Nishi-san's restaurant. One day, she sees a kid, Moom, getting bullied by some kids on the streets. She adopts him, and thus he becomes an integral family member. Moom and Zen usually play together, and one day as they are playing, Moom throws apples towards her, which she catches. Her instincts are pretty good. The scene quickly jumps to Zen fully grown up. Zen and Moom make their living by showing these stunts to the public. After returning home, Moom gives their earnings to Zen, saying that now she can buy her medicines. It turns out that she is sick, and she needs to go through harsh medications. She leaves Zen to Moom, and while she is taking her medicines, she goes through some terrorizing side effects. On the other side, Moom and Zen are worried about paying for Zen's medications. After returning home, Zen starts watching movies full of martial arts. Soon, Moom arrives in the room, and fortunately, he bumps into Zen's journal. After reading it, he acknowledges that many people are debt to Zen. Zen has come to her house the very next morning. Zen starts countering her mother, and during a fight, we see that Zen is wearing a wig. She has cancer. Zen goes mad, or we can say fully berserk after seeing Zen. She even cuts her hair, however, Zen consoles her before going to bed. Zen and Moom are now determined to get back Zen's money. So they visit the ice factory and meet the owner, also known as the Iceman. He throws Zen's journal away, saying he doesn't owe her anything. His crew beats them, but Zen on the other side, is still reluctant to go. She demands the money again, upon which the Iceman throws a tool at her face. At this point, we expect his doom, but Moom pulls her at the very last moment. At home, she imagines ousting from her bed and fighting monsters in a peculiar yet extraordinary way. This dream signifies her instinct to get Zen's money back from people with outrage. After waking up, she revisits the Iceman, and this time his henchmen confine her. All she cares about is getting back the money for her mother, but the henchmen provoke her by throwing her on the floor, and thus the real action begins. She knocks down everyone with a single kick. She even throws one man through the ice-cutting machine. After demolishing everyone, she confronts the Iceman, quickly knocking him off with a bang and lots of ice on his face. She brings back the debited money and hands it over to Moom. They visit the second man at some warehouse demanding the debt back. At first, he prepares the bag full of cash, but soon it turns out that he is a jerk too. He throws the bag towards his mob, and soon they start bullying Moom. They annoy the kid until Zen steps in and catches the bag shortly before running. The second man and his crew chase them. It's time for another fight. She fights like Bruce Lee, smashing everyone. On the other hand, Moom is seen hidden from the warehouse owner's henchmen. As the fight enters its critical moment, the owner's man grasps Moom and the money. However, Moom smashes him to the ground. Zen also steps in, kicking her final blow on the owner, and after the fight, she picks the bag full of cash. After acquiring cash, they visit Zen in the hospital, where doctors advise Moom to take her back home for a day. The scene changes to number 8 and his gang watching Zen's fight. It turns out that the warehouse owner has informed them about Zen as a threat to their business. Number 8 suggests Priscilla keep an eye on her. Meanwhile, Moom and Zen visit a meat market to get the debt back from the third man, the meat market owner. But Zen starts panicking by the houseflies before they can find him. So, Moom and Zen return home, and while they all are sleeping, Zen goes back to the market, and this time she wears some sort of glasses to avoid houseflies. Soon, the owner approaches her. She ignores his questions and demands Zen's money, upon which he suggests taking it if she can. Zen is still panicking by the flies, but soon we see Moom stepping in and saving Zen from flies. He tries to rescue her, but I think it's too late for that. All meat workers form a mob to attack them, and thus another fight is seen full of martial arts and ninja tactics. After smashing everyone, she confines the third man while a knife is stabbed in his back. After a moment of reluctance, he gives Zen's money back to Zen. The next day, Zen sees Zen's wounds and starts worrying about her. Meanwhile, Moom takes Zen's medicines. The nurse gives him candies before he leaves for home, saying someone has left them without conveying his name. After returning home, he gives the sweets to Zen. Zen scolds him because they look bruised for a few days. Zen screams while they are chattering, and we see Zen's toe on a table. Zen investigates Moom about what they have done. Moom responds that they have got the money back from all those in debt to her. After hearing this, she chastises him until he screams about what he would do for her medicines, because she is dying and Zen is also handicapped. Thus the trio sits on a sofa, assuming a way out of the situation. This time Zen thinks of nothing but of Masashi. So she asks Moom to take a letter to him, and thus we pursue the main plot. But before we go any further, consider subscribing to our channel, and don't forget to thumbs up that notification bell. Moom visits Nishi-san and asks to deliver Zen's letter to Masashi, and before he can return, he gets confronted by Priscilla. The movie's main plot begins with Priscilla conveying Zen's letter to number 8. He advises her to send this letter to Masashi to end the matter once and for all. When Masashi gets the letter, he proffers his henchmen to take Zen and his daughter to a safe place, which he does. He goes to Zen's house, but perceives it as abandoned. Before he leaves, a red car confines the house. Number 8's lady crew starts finding Zen, but they all get killed by Masashi's men soon. He conveys the situation to Masashi, and while he is still on the phone, Priscilla kills him. Number 8 picks up the phone and warns Masashi of the fate he and Zen have decided. The scene changes to Zen and Zen hiding in a deserted playground field. She gets worried about Moom and calls him, but when Priscilla picks up the call, she gets furious at her. However, Priscilla warns Zen to come over to their place if she wants Moom alive. After arriving at number 8's place, he begins trolling her shortly before she asks for Moom. Moom is thrown into the room. Seeing him, Zen and Zen try going after him. However, they get a gun on their heads. The following scenes depict the mother-daughter teamwork. Soon Zen dodges the weapon, and Zen knocks out Priscilla with her martial arts skills. Zen and number 8 get into a fight, in which she overpowers him, but gets a shot in return. He is going to kill her, but Zen rushes to him, knocking him down. Priscilla aims her gun at Zen, however, Zen shoots her until she dies. At this point, the movie story becomes incredibly full of suspense and action. A fight is begun between Zen and number 8's gang. While Zen is striking each one of them, number 8 abducts Zen. After seeing this, Zen chases him only to find more men waiting to stop her. She is winning against everyone until another kid with autism steps in. Finally, a real and equivalent battle has begun in which Zen perceives a tough time by him. After getting beaten up, she starts observing his style, and soon overpowers him with her skills, tactics, and experience combined with his fighting style. After the final blow, she gets exhausted, but don't worry because Masashi enters with a determination to save his family. After a pretty fascinating entrance, he starts killing everyone. Thanks to him, we see some battle full of swords action. He rushes to number 8, fighting him until he rescues Zen. Meanwhile, Zen is still observing her father and his fighting tactics. Masashi overpowers everyone when Zen also begins to help him in the battle. Seeing the whole family working together, number 8 pursues an opportunity and attacks Masashi from the back. However, Zen intervenes and safeguards him by sacrificing herself on the spot. Watching Zen dying, Zen gets berserk again, and while Masashi becomes unconscious shortly before laying his final blows, Zen gets her anger out for real this time. She quickly kills everyone and chases number 8 to the terrace, where Moom points a gun towards number 8, stating he should leave Zen. Number 8 throws Zen on Moom shortly before shooting Zen, but with Moom's help, she dodges the bullets and terrorizes him enough to jump off the building. Zen also jumps after him, and as she is chasing him, Number 8's henchmen hop after her. Number 8, unfortunately, frees himself from her wrath for now, and in the meantime, his henchmen are getting beaten up by her. She throws his men off the building and grasps him, beats him, and throws him too, which kills him for good. After that, she climbs up the building like a Tarzan and grieves her mother until Masashi arrives and consoles her as her mother has done before. The movie's ending depicts the calm yet sad fate of Zen and Masashi. And as the father-daughter walks on the road, we are left with a question: where is Moom? I think we are about to find out the answers in the sequel of Chocolate 2. Meanwhile, you have to tell us how you like this film. Share your thoughts in the comments section below.